The Able to Care podcast is sponsored by Able Training Support Limited, who build partnerships with organisations to develop confidence and competence in their team to promote positive outcomes for all. Find the link in the description. Hello and welcome to the Able to Care podcast. I'm your host, Andy Baker, and joining me today is Tem I've forgotten how to say it already.
Ezumakai.
Ezumakai, that's it, yeah. Or better known as Tem's Teaching Tips. So I met Tem on a podcast training course and discovered her podcast, and I've been checking out the work that she's been doing since then. So Tem runs a podcast and is over 50 episodes in, so you are a veteran as far as my world's concerned, called Helping Teachers Thrive. Obviously, she's got a teaching background since 2009, so 15 years teaching experience, working in both secondary school and special educational needs environments as well. So a lot of experience under your belt. And since watching her podcast, I've been diving into little episodes. She offers some fantastic kind of information, some resources and support for teachers. So I thought it'd be an amazing opportunity to get her on our podcast and have a chat directly and discuss some of these factors. So because, you know, with Able to Care, we want to support teachers as well as parents. And I think that interaction between the two is something that we're going to be talking about today. So first off, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Andy. It's brilliant.
So we'll start off. Do you want to tell me just a little bit about your journey in teaching to start us off?
So I started teaching back in September 2009, and it took me a while to get the right job. I think it was my fourth application when I finally got the job. But I went to Loughborough University, studied a sport and exercise science degree there first. Then I did a year PGCE, postgraduate certificate in education, and then jumped straight to teaching pretty much a couple of months out of uni. And the journey's been fun. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but it's been fun. So in my first few years, it was tough. It was tough starting out as a teacher, dealing with behaviour and classroom management, trying to build relationships. And I was quite young as well. So when you're teaching students are 15, 16, 17 years old and you're not much older than them, it can be really difficult to create those boundaries and build those positive relationships with them. But it has been a great journey. I've taught PE for 13 years, year 7 to 13. So I've taught core PE as well as vocational qualifications, BTECs and CTECs they're called. And then for the last 2 years, I've been working in a special educational needs school as a classroom-based teacher. So that was, as a PE teacher, was a bit of a shock to the system because I was teaching English and maths and geography and exam-based subjects and not in PE. So that was a bit of a shock to the system, but it was the best decision I made, I think, because I've learned so much more now compared to what I knew 2 years ago when it comes to special educational needs. And I'm a lot more confident in helping students with special needs now than I was, because I know the triggers and I know the strategies to help them to self-regulate. So yeah, it's been a great journey, long time, but yeah, it's been fun.
What was the reason you kind of transitioned from, well, first off, I kind of think, for me, I always think like the scariest thing I could imagine as a job would be a secondary school teacher. I just remember how horrible I was as a child. So there's an element of like, I would never go into that of having 30 of them. So did you always want to be a secondary school teacher first? Is that kind of what you wanted to do? Yeah. So what was then the reason for the transition as well?
Well, so I wanted to be a teacher because I love school. I was the complete opposite to you. I was good with two shoes. I never got attention. I absolutely love school. And I love sport. I just wanted to play all the time. And I love the holidays. So I thought, actually, I love sport. I love school. I love the holidays. But that'd be something that I could potentially go into. So I started a football club when I was at school, when I was in year 13. I loved it. I loved helping kids get better. I loved seeing them progress. I love motivating them. I just thought, actually, this is something that I really enjoy doing. So I took a year out and I worked at two schools, my old school and another school, where I just did volunteer experience, work experience, just helped out in PE lessons and clubs after school before I went to university. Because I thought I want to gain more experience before I jump straight into uni, and just to get that valuable experience teaching before I go to university and pursue my passion. But then my other passion was anatomy and physiology. I love sports science. So because I couldn't really pick between the two, I thought I'd do a sports science degree first, and then I'll do a PGC, because then that sets me up for teaching A-level anyway. And then over the years, as a teacher, I always thought about special educational needs in the back of my mind, because I have a family member who is a TA in a special needs school in London. And she used to say to me, "Oh, I think about special needs, it's brilliant, it's so rewarding." And I had a student in the secondary school I was teaching at who basically they came from the primary feeder school, and I had a class of primary kids come over just to experience PE in a secondary setting. There was one girl there who unfortunately was vision impaired, couldn't see very well. And I gave her a yellow shuttlecock that was quite big, and a yellow racket that wasn't very long, it had a short handle, and just seeing the smile on her face, being able to hit that shuttlecock and improve in the session, it melted my heart. So I gave the equipment to the teacher, "Take it, please. Let her play with it at school. Let her take it home. Doesn't matter. Just so because she can continue that interest and that love of playing." So that sort of just ignited the spark a little bit more. And then when the opportunity came about for me to actually move to an SEN school, okay, it wasn't in a PE teacher capacity. That didn't really bother me. I didn't care. I just wanted to work with kids with special needs. I did teach PE a little bit as well alongside that. That's sort of where it sort of sparked from the journey from secondary to SEN.
Right. Okay. So one thing that comes over in leaps and bounds, and including your podcast, and even when you're talking about it there as well, I could tell there's like a genuine passion that you have for teaching, and obviously engaging with the children and improving that quality of their lives, by the sounds of it, and through education, through engagement and sports and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. So that's it's very endearing. Very endearing. It's nice because I think So what caused you to start the podcast? Why did you decide to go down that route?
If I'm honest, it's because I was fed up. I was fed up and angry with the teachers that I feel like they're being pushed out of the profession. They're struggling because there's not an effective mentorship. That's not their mentor's fault. They're struggling. They're busy. They're progressing. They might be SLT. They've got too much on their plate as it is. So everyone's struggling. The teachers are struggling. The senior leaders are struggling. Their mentors are struggling. But the teachers, there are too many teachers now that are burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed because of the workload, because of dealing with behaviour in schools, because of trying to manage all these different relationships, planning, assessing. It just got to the point where I thought, but it's not fair. And I've mentored trainee teachers over the years. And I just loved it. I've loved helping them learn and get better and support them. And I watched them sort of succeed and go off and apply for jobs and get the job that they wanted. And I just thought, well, why don't I do that globally? Why don't I try and reach as many teachers as I can as possible? Which is the reason why I started my podcast, because I wanted to try and help as many teachers as possible by providing them with weekly insights, weekly strategy support to help them thrive, to help them become outstanding teachers, so that they can maintain their passion for helping kids, as well as progressing and getting better at what they're doing and go off to do potentially become AVPs, assistant principals, heads of years. So I just wanted to try and support as many teachers worldwide as possible, because if we can help the teachers and make the teachers feel safe and supported and love what they're doing, then the kids are going to benefit from them. The kids are going to get better learning environments. The kids are going to progress in their lessons. The kids are going to develop the soft skills that they need to go on and do amazing things as well. So it's a bit of a big mission, but I'm trying to help everybody, but I'm doing that through teachers because right now they need a lot of help.
Yeah. 100%. I think I always kind of refer to it when I'm teaching about courses. There's no matter what the setting, when you're in a care or supportive capacity, there is such a symbiotic relationship between those who are being supported and those doing the supporting. That the happiness of one is directly linked to the happiness of the other. So if you're looking to improve the outcomes for kids and the focus is on the kids, well then having productive teachers who are feeling well, who are feeling resilient, who are feeling kind of okay with the world, it straight away is going to have a positive knock-on effect. It's not going to do any detriment having happy teachers in the slightest, is it? So obviously I know you cover quite a multitude of different topics in your in your podcast. Anything from how you present feedback to how to engage in children to, I've seen quite a few of, and I know you have some guests on sometimes as well, kind of offering advice. And even I've seen ones like around nutrition and things like that, as far as like promoting positive nutrition for kids and stuff. So weaving everything you do into each class, I suppose, a little bit. What would you say are the biggest challenges for teachers at the moment?
Good question. At the moment, the biggest challenge, I would say, is classroom management and large class sizes. Unfortunately, because of reduced budgets, schools can't afford staff, where they're letting go of staff or they can't employ enough staff. So as a result of that, class sizes are getting bigger and bigger. And when you've got 30 plus kids, 35, 36 sometimes in front of you, trying to teach a multiple of students on your own, without any teaching assistants, when all these kids have different needs, is really difficult. It's not just about managing the classroom environment because of behaviour. Yeah, okay, behaviour is a reason as well. It's something we need to work on. But it's also about making sure these kids have what they need to be able to access the content that teachers are trying to deliver, to be able to understand what the teachers are saying, to help them feel less anxious in the classroom when it comes to producing work or answering questions in a lesson, as simple as, or even being praised in a lesson. Sometimes kids can really struggle and they don't want that public praise at all. So it's about helping teachers learn and improve on certain strategies that will help them with these larger classes that can be quite chatty, disruptive behaviours, but also where kids can get lost so easily and their needs aren't being met, unfortunately.
Have you... Obviously, when you're a special educational school, are you still dealing with kind of class sizes of about 30 still, or are they smaller class sizes you're supporting?
So in the special educational needs setting, the class sizes are a lot smaller. So I have 12 in my class, so I've got quite a nice small class, but it's the number of teaching assistants in a special educational needs session. That is where the problems lie the most, because there are days when I only have 2 members of staff in the room with me, and unfortunately, when they're working with certain groups and I've got another group I have to work with, some kids might struggle to access the learning because we haven't got enough staff going around. There are days when I've been on my own at times with my 12 kids in my class. And yes, that's difficult because I want to be able to meet the needs of every single one of my children. But because of budgets, because of lack of staff, difficulty recruiting people, it can be really hard in the special education needs, even with a small group and with a very few staff there to support you. It's not their fault. It's not even the school's fault. It's just, well, across the country as a system, it is something that we really, really struggle with, unfortunately. And we need to improve on. We need to try and recruit more TAs, to recruit more teachers so that our kids do get that support that they need, so that they don't miss out on lessons and they don't miss out on their learning.
You've obviously got quite a unique perspective in some ways, kind of moving from secondary education and then moving into that special education needs environment. Do you think there's quite a few kids that are in mainstream schools that you encountered that actually would be better off in special educational schools? And do you think there's some kids that are in SEN environments that would actually be better off in mainstream? Because I hope that's a debate I sometimes get from parents and foster parents and things like that I support, where they don't know what's better for their child. And I just wondered whether you'd encountered the two sides of that.
I have, yes. In mainstream, because the mainstream school that I was in was quite big. There were 1,700 students. And I did come across students who would have benefited more from being in a special educational needs setting, purely because of their EHCP, because of the funding, because of the better support that they would have had, one-to-one support they would have had in that SEN setting. Because what I've seen in mainstream schools is, because of large class sizes, the children with those quite severe needs or special education needs, they struggle in lessons, they struggle to access the content, and as a result, that can be demonstrated through their behaviour, that can be shown through their behaviour. And they might act up, for example, and be seen as disruptive, disrespectful, rude, when that's not even the case. It's just they're really struggling to access the content. And that just might be their way of escape, to try and get out of that situation because they're feeling that high anxiety. So unfortunately, I've seen children just have to take out lessons, take them to a seclusion room, and that's where they spend quite a few of their days. So they're missing out on content anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're in a special educational setting, they're going to have better support, better things in place because they've got more funding, they've got better funding in terms of their EHCP plans as well. So I have seen that side of it too. I have also seen students in my special education needs provision who I think would actually thrive in mainstream as well, because they're very, very, very independent, very logical thinking. They're quite clever. I think actually you'd actually thrive in a mainstream setting as well yourself, because they wouldn't get lost in that setting. They wouldn't fall through the net, so to speak. So I have seen both sides of the coin, unfortunately.
What do you think is the problem for kind of picking it up? Is it just lack of assessment? Is it lack of communication, the multidisciplinary team kind of being able to kind of review that? Is it parents not knowing how to navigate the system properly? What would you say is probably the factor for that?
Gosh, I think there's a multitude of things, a mixture of all of them, to be fair, because there are parents that do struggle to navigate the system, that don't have all the information that they need, unfortunately, which can be really difficult for them because they're trying to invest in their children. They don't have that information, they don't have the support that they need, and it can make it really difficult for them to identify what's best for their children, unfortunately. But also mainstream schools are very big, some of them are quite large. And it can be difficult in terms of communicating effectively within schools, parents, and also other stakeholders, really.
Yeah.
To be able to support the child with the best, have the child's best interest at heart. So yeah, it's a mixture of different things, but it all comes down to budgets, really. It all comes down to affordability, having enough staff out there to support these children in the first place.
I suppose there's a lot of factors as well, isn't it? Like demographics. Also, some children will catch up a little bit. So it might be that they've got some, developmental difficulties, but they do catch up due to the environment, which means then they could move in. But once they're in that setting, it's then more disruptive to move them over. And I suppose there is all sorts of problems with that. So from your podcast, what have you had feedback from other teachers? Have you? What's the reaction to the podcast?
I've had some positive reactions, which is really good. I've got 11 reviews, I think, on my Apple, which is because they're finding that it's something that's really useful to them in terms of on the drive to work. But they're being given these little nuggets of information. They think, actually, I can implement that today and do that today in my lessons. So it's something that's it's like having that mentor in your pocket sort of thing. Like you're being given that information before you even set foot into a classroom to help you and guide you. I've had feedback from parents that actually it's really useful as a parent, being able to see the teacher's perspective and look at different ways of actually managing behaviour, not just in the classroom, but things you can do at home as well yourself as a parent. So it's been really positive, which is a good thing. I'm really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it is. And that bit you mentioned there, I think's actually really important. I think that's something. It's a teachers podcast for teachers to help teachers thrive, but again, if we're talking about this symbiotic relationship, that the parents having a better empathy towards what teachers are going through is also important. I think me and you had a chat one time, didn't we? I think we were sort of talking about that. Sometimes it's perceived as both want the well-being of the child, both want the child to thrive, but it's looked at from two different points of view. So sometimes it generates that clash, doesn't it? Have you encountered quite a lot of kind of disconnect with parents and teachers, and probably in both settings that you've worked in as well, maybe slightly different?
Yes, unfortunately, which I think has gotten worse as a result of the lockdowns and not being in school as much. But the issue is that, unfortunately, parents have their own experiences in school. They have their own experiences of when they were at school and with teachers and how teachers treated them. So it can be difficult sometimes when you need to relay some information to a parent, but they may straight away go on the defensive or come quite, sort of not defensive. They might attack you, so to speak, but not in that sense.
Yeah.
Because they get angry, of course, and they're frustrated, and they may have had 2 or 3 different phone calls that day about their child, and that can be quite frustrating, and especially as a parent. So there is a bit of disconnect between schools and parents and guardians, and I think it's just about us sort of opening up the lines of communication. So what I would do at the start of the year is I'll email out the parents in my class, or if I'm teaching sixth form class, for example, just year 13 or 12, I'll email them out at the start of the year, just opening up those lines of communication, introducing who I am, And just like any questions at all, feel free to email me throughout whenever you're able to, and I'll do my best to answer them. And just to, if the child is doing something positive in lessons, emailing them, ringing them, just letting them know. And sometimes it can shock them, because if they've had calls throughout the day about their child's done something destructive or gone against the behaviour policy, you just keep ringing them up and just saying, look, they've done this really, really well in my lesson today. That can improve the relationship between school and parent, and also improve the parent's self-esteem. Just think like, actually, no, my child is doing okay. There are maybe some instances, when things are going wrong, but actually, like, they are doing okay in this lesson, or they have demonstrated this sort of value in school, for example. So, it is really important to open up those lines of communication, whether you're emailing or phoning. Phoning is the best, of course, in terms of building that relationship, but especially more so now because of the disconnect, because of the difficulties with that relationship between parents and school. And of course, there are children that will go home and paint a completely different picture, story to their parent. Of course, it's their kids. I'm sure we've done it back in the day as well. But it's not about blaming people. It's just trying to find a solution and involve the parent or guardian in that solution. Because at the end of the day, the child is at the centre of everything. The child's best interest is all that we care about. So rather than blaming people, just try and come up with a solution together for that child, to help that child, to improve that child's experiences in school.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So the child's at the centre, but I think there's also this aspect though of and you mentioned it in there. I think parents are constantly kind of feeling like they need validation as well. That like being a parent's really hard. The same as being a teacher's really hard. And there must be a kind of a personal aspect to it, going, please let me know every now and again that I'm good at my job, or whether as a parent or a teacher, isn't it? And if all you're getting is the kind of the negative side of your child's behavior, there is going to be that defensive mode, isn't there, of going, you're saying I'm not a good enough parent. And I know that's never what the teacher's saying, but I think it then flips vice versa as well, doesn't it? When the teacher's moaning about their child not doing well at school or getting phone calls, it must feel like you don't think I'm a good teacher. And it's so there is that personal aspect to it. Yeah.
That is that aspect to it as well, because teachers are judged all the time. We are unfortunately judged all the time, every day, whether it's by students or senior leaders or parents or stakeholders. We are. But that's just part of teaching, unfortunately. Yeah. But so it is nice when you do get that, oh, thank you, miss, from a student, or thank you for that lesson as they walk out, or from a parent, just a card or a gift or an email, just to appreciate you as a member of staff and how you supported their child. That is something that can really benefit us as teachers, because it makes us feel proud of the job we're doing, but also makes us feel like you said, we're validated, like we are doing a good job. Because there are days when we feel like, oh, what am I doing? Like, I'm not doing a great job at all. Like, we have that imposter syndrome that sets in. So it is nice to have that, but it's also nice to sort of give that back to the parents and just let them know that you've done amazing in terms of supporting your child with their studies, and they're doing really well and they're thriving in school because of this reason. It doesn't have to be thriving academically. It can be a change in terms of their value, their behaviour, and the way they think and their attitude. Because that is something that we should be praising as well. It's not all academically. Not all kids are going to be academically amazing. They don't have to be. It's about them becoming that well-rounded individual, so they can go off into the world and do whatever they want to do and achieve all the things that they want to achieve. So, it is that balancing act of, we need to tell our parents that they are doing an amazing job. Actually, they are. There are times when things happen, of course. That's just life. But at the end of the day, it's hard being a parent. It's hard being a teacher. So we're all just trying to do the best for the children.
Yeah, 100%. Doing the best we can with what we know, 100%. Yeah. Do you think there's obviously maybe it's a little bit different in the special educational need provision, but I get the feeling that there's a lot of teachers who feel almost strangled by the system, that it's kind of had the opportunity to be a great teacher is kind of limited because of the kind of the requirements of the system, that you have to follow this set syllabus and do it this particular way, which takes away creativity and enjoyment and stuff like that. So, and I think teachers are as frustrated with that as maybe parents are. Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. It's really difficult when you just want to be innovative and you want to be creative, you want to try all these different things with your students, but you've got the constraints, you've got the time constraints, you've got syllabus constraints, you've got to go do it a certain way to meet the needs of the kids, but also to meet the needs of the school, really. We've all got to fall in line with the school's ethos and the school's vision as well. So, for example, with my special education needs class, I love my kids cutting things up themselves and sticking it into their books, because that's their skills that they can improve on, and it'll be really good and beneficial later on in life. But unfortunately, senior managers don't always see it that way, because books have to be neat and good, they have to look good and presentable. And I get that. I completely understand that. But when it comes to the kids that are in front of you and about them and what skills we're trying to teach them and trying to help them improve, not just academically, like I said, but also life skills. So yeah, it's really, really frustrating when all you want is you just want the best for these kids, and you want to help them as much as you can, any way that you can. But then you've got sort of the strings being pulled from above that sort of reining you in and going, actually, no, you can't do that because we need to do it this way, which can be, incredibly frustrating.
I saw an interesting thing, and I think I don't know the full context of it, so I wouldn't like to kind of pass judgment, but I saw it was a slide taken from a conference, and it was somebody quite high up in the Department of Education that had a slide related to, and it was behavioural stuff, but one of the things is that it was kind of myths about behaviour. And one of those myths that was written up there was that children have a natural predisposition for wanting to learn. And I thought, well, that seems a strange myth to me, because for me, I think that they do have a natural predisposition to want to learn and explore the world. Do you think is that part of the problem, that it's still a case of children have to be forced to learn, rather than actually it's because the learning is not being presented, or the subjects are not being presented in a way that inspires the children?
Unfortunately, because of how education is right now, we just expect the kids to come in and sit down. You've got to learn. Let's do this. Let's just impart this knowledge onto you, because you have to know it for this exam, this coursework, whatever it is. And we're not inspiring them. We're not making it relevant to them. They're not interested because as a result of that. And we think because they're not interested, they don't want to learn. They don't care about learning. Well, no, it's the complete opposite. If you're interested in something, you're going to want to learn about it. You're going to have a love for learning it. And we are human. We all want to learn and get better. Even the kids do. Like, I had one girl in my class. I think I was teaching PE. This was years ago. I was just teaching, and she just said, "Miss, how do you tie your hair up like that with no bumps?" I thought, odd question, but that's what she cared about. So she wanted to know, how can I tie my hair up so I don't have any bumps in my hair? Because maybe she was going to become a hairdresser. I don't know. But I thought, that's why I didn't know how to answer it at the time. So I don't know. I just got confused. Come and tie it up. But they want to learn stuff. They do want to learn things. If we try and make it, okay, I can't make that relevant to teaching PE, but that can help me build my relationship with her a bit better. So if we know about the kids and what they want to learn and what they're interested in, that can help you improve your relationship with them. You're more likely to be respected by them, and likewise, you're going to have respect for students. And then they're going to want to come to your lessons. They're going to want to learn and listen to you and progress. So yeah, we need to get out of that attitude or mindset of thinking that we have to force these kids to learn this information. It's not about that. They do want to improve and learn. We just need to make it relevant to them. We need to inspire them and do things that will help them progress and improve. Incorporate technology, IT better in our lessons, for example, because IT is everywhere. I know teachers are incorporating AI and using the AI to help with marking. So we just need to get better at incorporating things that our students have an interest in or want to know more about, I suppose.
I'd love to see the session and lesson plan that you've done for getting kinks out of hair. I think that'd be.
Oh, bless us! Just came out with it last teacher. I was like, okay, let me think about this one.
But that's kind of, I suppose, for me, that's a problem. Obviously, I don't consider myself to be a real teacher. Although I teach, but I teach adults, so I don't consider myself to be a real teacher. But I'm not a huge fan of, I've been running a company for a while now. Session and lesson plans, I don't like them, because when I first started teaching and I had these lesson plans that I had to do as far as, when I was doing my training and stuff. But as soon as I walked into the room, it'd change. It'd go straight out the window because I had to adapt to the people who was in there. Now, I understand, obviously, when you're a teacher, you get to know your class, you get to know your students, and therefore you have to then design that lesson plan a little bit around them and personalize it in that moment. But I think it does limit that flexibility sometimes. For me, that's how I feel. Is that something that you feel as well, with the kind of bureaucracy that goes behind teaching?
Lesson plans are important as teachers. We do have to plan our lessons, but it's more for our peace of mind, so that we know where we're going in our lesson. Like, I won't follow my lesson plan to the letter. I won't. Sometimes I'll go off on tangents. I like going off on tangents, actually. I'll adapt it there and then, because that's what we have to do as teachers. But like you said, because we know our class, I think it helps us better plan for certain students. So like in my lesson plans, I'll have initials of kids, and I'll specifically write strategies that I'll do in that lesson for that child to help support that child better. Because when you've got 30, 40 kids in front of you, trying to think on the spot, sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially as a younger teacher. But if you've got things planned set in stone for that child, and you go into that lesson knowing what you're going to do for a certain student, and they see it. To be fair, I've had that in lessons. So, for example, my more able students, I kind of started a very long time, not a long time ago, 5 years ago maybe, I had one student who was very high ability student. So I made a little pack for her. I had a little pack of my PowerPoint presentations, little instructions and tasks. I sort of gave that to her. Look, when you've completed this bit, you just carry on, just work through this, and let me know if you need any help, and I'll come over and help you. But I just want you to get on with it. And I didn't want to sort of stall her. And she went, "Oh, thank you so much, miss. Thank you for doing that for me," because she appreciated that I planned something for her separately, because I know that I don't want to sit in there being bored, and not learning. So I sort of just gave it to her, and she went. She was brilliant. She just got on with it. So it's things like that, just being able to adapt. Yes, in your lesson you have to. You don't want to be stifled by a lesson plan, worrying about what am I going to do next, what am I going to do next. So you have to adapt on the spot. But because we know our class, we know their needs, we can specifically plan for certain kids and put things in place in the lesson for them, so that we're not stalling them and slowing them down.
That's really interesting. That's absolutely lovely to hear, because I think I don't remember that being an experience that I had when I was at school. So do you think that's a typical thing? Do all teachers do that, or is that good teachers do that? I know.
I'll ask that question.
Yeah. Is that something you shared with colleagues?
Yeah.
Is that something you all do, or do you think that's something that certain specific teachers do, as far as that personalisation?
That's just teachers that know their kids. Let's be honest. So the good, outstanding teachers, that's what they do. They know their kids and they put things in place for their children. So, trying to give you more real life examples. A couple of years ago, I had a student. He was 17 years old, 16, 17, who was Brazilian. Came to England to speak a word of English. This poor child, supports my lesson, sports lesson, sixth form, year 12. I said, okay, it's fine. We'll do what we can. We'll do our best. So because we like to have our phones with us in lessons to support the students, so I would use my phone to Google Translate everything. Every instruction, I Google Translate it for him and show it to him. So he sort of understood what he needed to do. I found this was before Google Drive brought in the translate option. I found a website where I could upload his work and have it translated into his language. So the resource was there for him. Because, to be fair, it's difficult, because I wanted him to access a lesson really quickly, really easily, and not fall behind. But also, he needed to improve his English. So it's a really difficult thing to sort of toy with. But I thought, I'm going to do that for him anyway. So I did that. He was such a lovely young man. He said to me, he did it on Google Translate. He said, "Miss, you have to do that. It's taken up a lot of your time. I feel bad." And I got what he meant. And to be fair, he needs to learn English as well. So I did that a couple of times and I stopped. But at the time, I was also recording my lessons through Google Meet, so that my sixth formers could use it away from the lesson to help the coursework revision. So I said to him, look, you've got these videos, use them, translate them to help you away from home, at home, away from school. I gave him model example work. Okay, some people might think, well, we might copy that. But he did it. He just took it and worked with it, and it helped him. And he actually produced some really good coursework for somebody who could barely speak English when I met him. He left not long after that, unfortunately, about 6 months later, that could speak better English. But just the impact that had on him was huge. And he emailed me before he left to say, "Miss, thank you so much for doing what you could to help me." And he enjoyed my lessons. He was sad he was leaving. But it's just what good and fantastic and outstanding teachers do. And it's what everybody can do. Everybody can do that. The time, there's a lot of time constraints on teachers. Of course, there are teachers who are in work at 6 o'clock sometimes in the morning, don't leave till 6 in the afternoon. It's hard. But this is where you've got to collaborate with everybody So I told my head of department, this is what I'm doing. And he went, okay, fantastic. Let's all record our lessons. And just sort of, everyone started doing it. I let my head of sixth form know this is what I found online. She went, oh, share that with so-and-so. So it's just about sharing and collaborating with each other.
Well, that's it. It's creating that positive culture, isn't it? It doesn't mean it's what works, and especially when you do have an environment where that one child is moving between different classes and having different teachers. I think it's very easy to focus on where they're falling down, their deficits, what they're not good at when they misbehave. But there isn't always the pass on of, hey, this works really well with this kid, and then that isn't just in school. That's generally across the board. I've found that, and even within that's something as far as teachers to parents and parents to teachers as well. Like, I think there's sometimes a disconnect within that, a kind of like, this works really well for my child. This is what they struggle with. How can we improve that within the setting? Do you think there's a reluctance because it's like, we're the professionals, we are teachers, we know what we're doing. You are the parents. You are potentially more emotional than professional. You don't know what we have to go through, and therefore there's that lack of communication between the two.
Yes, there is, because with my teacher hat on, we have a lot of students, a lot of lessons, a lot of needs we have to cater for, and sometimes we think, well, no, let me just want to get on with this and do it this way. This is what works for me, but by listening to the parents, that can actually help create that learning environment for that student, help them improve, also help your relationship with the child. So, for example, at my special needs school, I had one student. This was quite early on when I started. I was struggling with him a little bit because he had quite severe ADHD, and I'd never really taught a student that had quite severe ADHD before, so I didn't really know the triggers or how to sort of things to put in place to support him best. And his mum went, look, he thrives on praise. She said to me, just praise him for everything because he thrives on praise. Absolutely, like, just praise him. He loves to be not centre of attention, but he loves to help people. She said he loves to get up and do things for you. So just implement that, use those sort of things in your lesson. So I did. I praised him even when I had to not tell him off. Even when I had to, when he wanted something and he wasn't allowed it, I'd say, unfortunately, you can't do that. I said, however, you've done this really well, and I praised him for it. So I sort of put a spin on it. Yeah. I knew that praise would then make him think, okay, actually, yeah, Mrs. just said praise me for something. And I get him to put my stars on the board, on the wall. He'd say good morning every morning. So I gave him things to do that made him sort of feel like, I'm being really helpful to Miss. Handing books out, collecting them in. So because of that, my relationship with him improved. And his behaviour, so to speak, improved my lesson. But also his behaviour improved. It's just because I knew him better. I knew how to help and support him better, so he didn't need to act up and show me that I'm struggling, like, help me here, Miss. So yeah, it made things easier for me, but also better for him because I took what his mum said and implemented it in the lesson, and that was much better environment for him in school.
It sounds like it's working towards that collaboration, isn't it? That there needs to be empathy from both sides. From the parent, of course, the parent's going to go, look, my child should be the most important thing in the world, 100%. Yes. You pay attention to my child, but they also need to kind of recognize, but I am working with somebody who's got 30 other kids in one room, potentially, or numerous other children in different classes that they have to accommodate and support. And yes, my child is the most important in the world to me and to that child, but there's also, it's finding that balance, isn't it? I understand you've got a lot of difficulties. How can we get closer towards an ideal situation for my child? I understand it's not going to be perfect because there is 30 other kids. I suppose it's that empathy between the two, isn't it? Going again, it's looking at two sides of the same coin. And that's hard. I think communication between people is hard anyway, isn't it? In any kind of professional relationship, when there is emotions involved, I think it's very difficult. Have you found any strategies that work best for you from a teacher's perspective, but also that things parents can do as well that improve that connect and improve the kind of the collaboration for that child?
It's just the simple things, like opening up the lines of communication, ringing parents, emailing parents, sending postcards home, which we call them postcards home, but it's just so that parents know how well their child is doing. Showing parents their child's work and what they've produced in the lesson and what they've done and how they've improved over a period of time really helps. But I think with parents, it's this is a hard one because as a parent myself, I find this difficult. Finding opportunities to go into school to see what's being done. So, like, for example, primary schools do it a lot, and I can't get time out of work to go in and see things. It's really, really frustrating sometimes. But just finding those opportunities to go into school. So, like, for example, secondary schools will do year 7 parents, year 7's new year 7 parents evening. So in September, they'll invite the year 7 parents into school, just sort of get to know the SLT, sort of sit in a meeting where the head of year or the head will normally just talk about school, what they've got in store for their child that year, what they're going to be experiencing, all these different things, so that the parent at least feels included from the beginning, from day one. It's September now, off we go to secondary school, but they've got things in place for them to come in and at least have a chat to people, meet the teacher. There's some meet the teacher evenings as well, where they come and meet the teachers. And so they actually put a face to the name, not just a name on a screen, on an email. It's really important to try and involve parents in that way. Bring them into schools, let them come in and see what their child's doing, come in for meetings, group discussions, just try and support the parents better. My son's primary school do it really well. They do ADHD sessions and autism sessions for parents and children wellbeing sessions.
That's music to my ears, yeah.
Understand better and sort of how to support their child better and understanding children's anxiety and how to help them improve their child's well-being, because we need help as well as parents. I've got an 8-year-old, so I know I'm a teacher, but I still need help support as a parent, and all these strategies that I'm being told from my son's primary school are going to help me as a parent and also help me as a teacher, because I can take it into secondary school and use it there as well. So it's definitely about opening up those lines of communication, bring the parents in so they've got an opportunity to meet and greet and ask questions and find out a bit more.
That's obviously you can see my face a little bit when you said about doing training sessions for parents and stuff as well. I've been asked to go in, and I have done training sessions for parents where I've been to certain schools going, there's so many parents that could really benefit from the training you do. But I think there is a reluctance. So many parents there is this false narrative that you should just know how to parent, and parent's a natural thing and you figure it out. But especially when you've got a child with, who's neurodivergent or any emotional difficulties, I think straight away, like, I should know how to deal with this, but I can't. And I think there is a judgment sometimes. Have you encountered some parents going, I'm really struggling with my child, their behavior at home is horrendous, but then at school, the child is potentially an angel? And do you think that causes this? Do you think teachers understand that? Or do you think that just causes that disconnect to going, well, it must be down to your parenting?
Oh, yes. You just described me as a child. I was fantastic at school, and then at home I was terrible. So, I wasn't that bad, but I was that child. And it's because I think it was more, I'm talking from a child's perspective now, it was more because at school, people didn't really know me. I didn't want to look bad. I wanted everyone to like me. And so I'd be happy and everything at school, but at home was my safe space. So when you're in a safe space, you can be how you want to be. I think that's what it is. Yes, there are some kids that can be really bad at home, really disruptive, really rude at home. But that's their safe space. That's where they feel safe to be able to show those emotions. And sometimes it's because of what's happened at school. So they can go to school and be happy, put on that face, so to speak, but all that build up of anxiety throughout the day that they're going to go and then release at home, unfortunately, because that's their safe space to do it. They don't want to do it at school, so they'll go home and do it. That's what I've noticed a lot over the years. And it can be really difficult for parents because they feel like they're not doing a good enough job. They feel like they're doing something wrong at home. But that's not the case. It's that your child maybe just needs someone to talk to at school, someone that they can go to and feel like they can open up to a bit more and not being worried about being embarrassed or looking bad. So they're not taking all those anxieties home and exploding at home. So I think that's what we have to sort of support parents with. It's not that things are going wrong at home, so to speak. It could be, but it might not be. Schools need counsellors for kids. They need someone that they can turn to and go to and speak to get that help, unfortunately. But there are, I've seen a few instances over the years. I've also seen incidences where the kids will at school, but the minute you say you want to speak to their parent, they go, "Oh, no, miss, please, that's fine, I'm fine now, I won't do that again." And because they're quite strict at home as well. So you do get that, unfortunately, as well.
I have, yeah, I've come across that as well. Yeah, the parents are saying the kid's fine, and but school we're having a nightmare, and it can be, yeah, and as you said, it's very much where does the child potentially feel safest in some ways, or the circumstances are different, or there might be more triggers at school than there are at home, or vice versa. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it should be such a great message for more both parents and teachers to understand that it isn't because the child is choosing necessarily to behave in one place and not the other, and there is a thing called masking, and just because a child is acting okay doesn't mean they are okay. It just may just be so I think that'd be great for more people to be aware of. Do you think teachers get enough training?
No, definitely not in the training teachers or early careers teachers. They're called ECTs, the first 2 years after their training year. Teachers still receive some sort of training. They still get observed. They've still got to pass a year, 2 years, and those teachers don't get the training that they need. They don't get experience that they need in special needs education. There's an option that you can do because we're supposed to do a certain period of time in a school, but contrasting to their school, and they can opt to go to a special education needs school, but it's not compulsory. There isn't enough information there to support teachers at all, unfortunately, which is why teachers are struggling in schools. It's not the teacher's fault because they're not getting that training. And then when they have children in the school that have needs, that they really find it difficult to support because they don't have the knowledge to do so. Which is why I'm so glad I left mainstream for 2 years to sort of go out and find out myself and get that experience myself. But no, there definitely isn't enough training. But the problem is, there's not enough time. There isn't enough time. We have, every year during our inset days, we have to do safeguarding. That's a yearly thing. We have to always do safeguarding training. We have a lot of admin stuff we have to do in school, unfortunately, as teachers. We have leads who lead on certain strategies to implement in lessons, but it's not enough because it's only a few hours here and there, and you might only have 1 or 2 training days at the start of the year, and then you've got maybe another 3 or 4 spread out throughout the year. It isn't enough, unfortunately, and there's not enough time. And then as a teacher, you've taught a whole day of lessons, and it's now 3:30, and you've now got an hour's worth of training in the hall after school with everybody. It's exhausting. It's tiring. You're half asleep. You might not be picking up on the information. It's not good. It's not good. So I know there are some schools that are doing morning sessions from 8 o'clock onwards, implementing training like that. But there just isn't enough time. I don't know how we're going to solve that problem. I really don't. I don't know if the government are going to make it a 4-day school week. I don't know, a 4-day. 4-day school week, and then we have 1 day of teacher training every week. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, it's hard. It's just not enough time.
Yeah, definite challenge. And I think one thing you mentioned there, which is underestimated, is actually how tiring teaching is. I find that when I bring trainers on for my company, we have it. I don't let my trainers do 5 days of teaching. We're doing 6-hour days because you're not the best trainer at the end of. Now, obviously, we're a commercially driven enterprise, so it's very much about that service has to be top standard all the time, because otherwise we don't get more work. So I limit it of how much training they're allowed to do, because managing a group, remembering everything that you have to say, your brain is working overdrive. It is shattering, absolutely shattering. And learning is very hard work as well on both sides. There's a reason that babies sleep so much is because everything's new. So they're learning so much. Their neuron pathways are working overdrive. So they need a nap every half an hour. And that's the same, but this is underestimate, isn't there, as far as that learning isn't hard work. You just sat there. Teaching isn't hard work. You're just turning up and talking. But yeah, both are highly straining activities that require, it's different from lifting weights and throwing stuff around and, labor, but it's hard mental resilience required.
The hard mental work, I think, I've experienced mostly in my SEN school, because your mind's constantly on the go. You're not just teaching, but you're spotting these triggers. You're trying to put out these fires, think about all these different needs, what the child is when. It's just, it's mentally draining teaching. It's mentally draining and physically draining. So when you go home, you sort of just collapse. Like there's nothing left for your own family, unfortunately. But it is an amazing career. It's great to be able to inspire kids and then see that there's a possibility to have an amazing future. You just need to look after yourself as well, because we struggle with teachers as well with our own well-being.
I think that's, across the board. Anybody who cares for others sometimes forget to care for themselves. Like, I think that's it, isn't it? It's like, although it can feel like you're banging your head against a brick wall with any circumstance like this, being a teacher, there's a highs and the lows, but you have to kind of look out for those highs. As you mentioned a few times, the kid who goes, that was a really good lesson, and it may be almost a throwaway comment as they're walking out, kind of just this bolshy teenager just going, that was all right, that was it, miss, and but you just kind of take that and then go, oh, it makes it all worthwhile. If that kid walked away with just a nugget more of knowledge than he had before, I've done something good, I've made a difference in his life. And I think that's like any profession, it's easy to miss, to notice the misses and miss the hits. Especially when you're stressed, you're more likely to notice those. So just to kind of drawing us to a bit of a close, because it's been amazing chatting to you, but I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit now, if that's okay. So if you could, I would like Thames top teaching tips. Just what would be a kind of top 3 that you've picked up over doing the podcast, over your career, that might be worth just sharing?
Probably the biggest one I'd say is never take anything personally, ever. Because like we said earlier, like the kids aren't doing it deliberately. They're not telling us on purpose. You might be told by a kid that I hate you, but actually like that's just their way of getting that anger out, frustration out, in terms of not being able to access lessons or understanding things. So don't ever take anything personally, because that's the worst thing we can do as teachers, because it brings us down and makes us feel bad. So that's number 1 top tip I'd definitely say: don't take anything personally. Number 2, collaborate. Like other teachers around us are the biggest wealth of, the biggest resource that we can have access to, massive wealth of resource. When I started my SEN school, that's the first thing I did. I asked teachers, well, what do you do here? What do you do in this situation? Have you got these resources? Just to be able to look at what they've done and adapt it, because I didn't have a clue. I didn't know anything about widget online and visuals and creating video, helping children in terms of sign language and using visuals to support that. I didn't know any of it at all. So just be able to ask and collaborate with people and just get help from them, because you're not on your own. Like, we're all in the same boat. We all need support and help. So that's definitely number 2. I would say get to know your kids. That is the biggest thing when it comes to building relationships. If you know their names quickly, and I'm terrible with names, I am so bad. But if you try and get to know their names quickly,
I'm there with you. Yeah.
I'm still mixing up my kids when they were year 10, 11. They go, Miss, you've been teaching me 5 years. I say, yeah, I know. I'm still going to keep doing it. I'm not good at it. But get to know them, not just their name, but their interests. Find out what they like doing outside of school, what they're good at, and then bring that up in conversation. If they have clubs they go to, if they have competitions, if they're great artists, ask them about their artwork, ask them about the competition, and find out how well it went. Just show that interest in that child, because straight away you're creating that positive relationship with them. They're going to think, wow, you actually care. You actually care what's happening to me and what's happening in my life to want to ask me these questions, and actually remember to go back and ask them again a week later, how'd that go? You said you had a competition on Saturday. How'd it go? And just find out a bit more about it. So they're the biggest top 3 things that I would definitely, there's a few more obviously I can think of, but no, they're the most important in terms of you staying sane and enjoying your job and loving your profession and making kids feel safe and supporting the lesson and having that positive relationship with them in school. So yeah, they're the biggest 3, I'd say.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was really good. Great answer. Thank you very much. I think one of the things that I kind of noticed over this session, and I think it would be worthwhile for any teacher to kind of listen to your podcast and stuff like that, because I think there's so many teachers who genuinely come into the profession with a sense of passion and a sense of joy. But I think it can be very easily squeezed out of them through pressures around the system and from parents and all the pressures that they're experiencing. And I think sometimes, like, for parents, they should listen. This is a teacher. Look how much teachers care. They genuinely do care. They may not know how to do it exactly right. They're still learning. They're humans. They're going to make mistakes, but they genuinely care. And I think I should imagine that it is teachers who listen to your podcast at a little bit in the morning going, yeah, that's why I do what I do. That's a passion that I know is still in there. And that's where he said that the collaboration, I think, is key on that, isn't it, as well? That the staff room should be a place that they're safe to moan, but also it should be a place to kind of pep them up, pep each other up a little bit, going, you can do this.
Yeah, your school, your workmates should be your family. But you can rely on them, they've got your back no matter what. I've had my staff around me in my PE department when I was in mainstream, when literally there was one day, like, I mean, even I struggled. Even there was times when I nearly lost my passion because things were just overwhelming. And there was a time when I literally broke down in the office. Like, I couldn't cope because I had so much to do at that time because I was in charge of so many different things. And my head department went, right, that's it, stay here. So-and-so's going to take your lesson, cover the lesson. And he just took me for a walk to a coffee shop, just took me out for a bit. It's just having someone there to support you that you know has got your back no matter what is a really big thing in schools, really important.
Well, we'll make sure, obviously, we share the details. But if you, if you're listening to this or watching this, then if you Google Thames Teaching Tips, you will definitely find her all over social media. I know you got a Facebook page and an Instagram page and YouTube channel, but obviously you got your podcast as well, which is called Helping Teachers Thrive podcast, available on all platforms, or anywhere you can search it, they will find it. And yeah, 50 episodes in. So, and I think you're doing a bit of a relaunch for this 50th episode. Is that right?
Yeah, yes. I don't know when your episode's coming out, but yeah, my relaunch is on the 3rd of April.
3rd of April 2024. So if you listen to this beforehand, or if not, go back and check out, because I think you've got quite a big guest on this particular episode.
Quite a big guest, yeah. He's Andy Taylor. Mr. T's NQTs is quite big in teaching on Twitter, and he's a university lecturer. Actually, he supports early careers teachers. He's got 16 years of experience in schools. So yeah, definitely go back to check that. And my Patreon as well.
Yes,
I've got a membership site called Mastering Teaching, and there's a link in my show notes, my podcast, and we've got hours and hours and hours worth of content to support teachers, effective strategies, deep dives into effective strategies to help you on your journey to becoming outstanding teachers. So yeah, feel free to go and check that out as well.
Yeah, awesome. We'll put the link in our show notes and section as well. So by all means. But thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I do feel like I could kind of go on a journey and chat about kind of improved practice for quite a while with you. So we'll definitely have to do this again. But yeah, otherwise, thank you so much for joining. It's an absolute pleasure. And we'll catch up soon.